Hello, hello, hello. Let me make sure the volume is up. All right, hello, y'all. Happiest Friday to you. Happy Friday. If you are catching the replay, please let me know that you're catching the replay by letting me know below when you're watching. And then greetings to everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Siobhan, your community cultivator, and I believe that every single woman deserves to be free and fulfilled in her life. I teach women how to get unstuck so that they can fully show up for themselves and truly live the life that they deserve to live. Hello, hello, hello. I'm feeling good, y'all. I'm feeling amazing it's not morning anymore. I am feeling amazing this afternoon. And let me say this. Look, I'm trying to get right into it. If you ever want to learn more about me and the work that I do, you can definitely head over to BeFreeProject.com. You can learn more about the Be Free Inner Circle, which is my community space where positive, like-minded women gather to get accountability with doing the personal growth work. And then also they're in a space where they're finding their forever friends. And so if you want to know more about my membership community, you can head over to do that, as well as if you want to know more about the Be Free Project podcast or anything whatsoever related to me and all the amazing things that I do, you can head over there. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, happiest Friday to you. I'm excited to be here. And I'm excited to have this conversation with you ladies today about self-love. And so as you can see, the title is What It Looks Like to Practice Real Self-Love. And so I did a podcast episode this week about this particular topic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it will be a perfect segue to talk about this live on the gram. So then that way, if you have specific questions around, the topic, you've listened to the podcast and some other stuff came up for you, or you just want to have a conversation and hear me talk about it live, this is going to be really, really great. So let's get into it. So I want to first start by, I saw this, first of all, before we get into it, let me know, where are y'all watching from? Let me know where at in the world are you watching from. And let me give a little housekeeping things. Whenever you watch me live and you join me, always have a notebook and pen ready. The reason being is because I'm going to share a lot of things, and some things are going to resonate with you and you're going to want to write it down, right? You can always catch the replay. It'll be here for that. But definitely, I always recommend having a notebook and pen. Then I also want you, as I'm talking and as I'm sharing, I want you ladies to engage. I'm just assuming that there's all ladies here, but I want you to engage with one another in the comment section. So if you're picking up something that I'm putting down, you can always express that in the comments. If you have any question whatsoever, you can put it in the question box or you can put it in the comment section. And then you're like, you know what? I want my friends to hear Siobhan today. Go ahead and hit that little arrow in the bottom right corner. Invite your friends to come on over. The more, the merrier. All right, so now we can get into it, all right? So first of all, I found the really great definition on Psychology Today that really described how I feel about self-love. And I'm like, this is the definition that makes the most sense to me. And so oftentimes, before I share the definition with you ladies, is that when people talk about self-care and they talk about self-love, and you're seeing the conversation on social media, it always, in my opinion, and it's very hygiene based. Like self-care and self-love is about mani pedis, retail therapy, taking a bath. That is cute. I mean, you do that stuff anyway. I think that self-care and self-love goes beyond that. The way that I think about self-love is how you're taking care of yourself from the inside out. Not externally, but how are you caring for yourself internally? So I'm going to read this definition to you because it makes the most sense and it's right in alignment to what I feel self-love is. And then today I'm going to tell you what self-love isn't. So then that way I can bring some awareness around maybe some of these things that you're doing or you're experiencing in your life. And I want you to know how that's not loving yourself. And then I'm not going to leave you there. I'm going to give you even more things that I shared on the podcast this week of beautiful ways that you can start to begin to practice real self-love. So before I give you the definition and you let me know where you're watching from, let me know yes or no if you find it challenging to love yourself. And this is a safe space here on the ground with me. So if your answer is yes, if your answer is no, it doesn't matter. I just want to see where everyone is as it relates to practicing self-love, because you'll be surprised at, especially the amount of women that I talk to on a day-to-day basis, of how many women do not genuinely love themselves. And so it's not something that's abnormal or like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. No. There's a lot of women who struggle with practicing self-love. And I'll say for me, there was a season in my life where I had to teach myself how to love myself, right? And because of how I grew up, because of what I was taught, because of the challenging childhood that I had to fight really, really, really hard to love myself, right? I really had to do a lot of work. And if you are someone like me that has grown up in a dysfunctional childhood and you didn't get the love that you needed growing up, you are going to have to love on yourself even more. And it takes a lot of work to get there, right? So when I think about my childhood, specifically around mother wounds, for me, because I didn't have the love that I needed from my mother and I didn't get it from my father, I grew up thinking that I had to earn someone's love. And I also became very codependent, and I talk about this all the time in other relationships, because of the love that I didn't get. So then as I became an adult and even being married and having kids, I still had to do a lot of work on myself to get to the place where I'm at today, where I fully love Siobhan, right? And I have no problem with putting my needs first and listening to what I need and really honoring myself. But it took work and it took time to actually get here. And so if you're in a space where you don't love yourself, there's no judgment here, right? It's like the first thing is that you have to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I am in a season where I don't love myself. I don't like this. I don't like that. And so I want to offer you some support as we go through this live today, to again bring this to your awareness, and then you jot down some things that resonate with you, and then that way you know, okay, these are areas in my life that I am not practicing self-love, but after I watch this live today, this is one thing that I will commit to do. And this is the thing, now that I'm saying that out loud, when I share these things with you, I want you to I want you to listen to me, but I want you to keep in mind what's one thing that you're going to take action on at the end of this live. So stay with me the whole time so you can figure out what resonates with you the most. And then one thing that you're going to commit to doing as a result of listening today. All right, let's get into it. So I'm promising you first the definition that I found on Psychology Today. And it says self-love is a state of appreciation for yourself that grows from actions. The key word there is actions that support your physical, your psychological, and your spiritual growth. All right, I'm going to repeat it. The state of appreciation for yourself that grows from actions that support your physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. So basically, how you're showing up for yourself and loving yourself and appreciating yourself from an emotional perspective, from a mental perspective, spiritual, physical. How are you loving yourself? So as you can see, none of that has anything to do externally. That's all internally. How are you loving yourself from the inside out? So I first want to kind of point out some ways that you may not be loving yourself. Again, this is no judgment. We're in a safe space here on the gram. But I want to share some things so then that way I can bring this to your awareness. All right. And again, as I'm chatting, engage with me. Let me know you're picking up what I'm putting down. Double tap the screen, give hearts, leave comments. You have space to ask questions and do all of the things. So one of the first ways that you are not practicing self-love is when you compare yourself to other people. Now you may be thinking, how in the heck does that mean I'm not loving myself? Because what you are doing is you're saying this person has to be better than me. This person's life is better than mine. You want something that that person has, and you are not honoring where you're at in this season. Oh, Oh, see, you distracted me, Patrice. These are my new. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Pause. These are my new earrings I got from Gemini Fly. Aren't they so cute? This is nothing but self-love here. I was like, oh, I love those earrings. I'm gonna buy them. So thank you for acknowledging. Anywho, okay, back to the topic. You distracted me a little bit, but I love these earrings. But anywho, comparison. Right? So if you're looking at someone else's life, if you're looking at someone and you're thinking, oh, I wish I had what they had. I wish I had their life. I want what, all of that, that is basically diminishing who you are. And you're not honoring where you're at right now. And so you're wanting something more, but you're not looking within. So that is not a way that you're practicing self-love if you're so busy comparing yourself and your life to other people. So I want every single person, whether you're a part of my membership community, the Be Free Inner Circle, which, hello, there's a lot of members here on the gram that are joining us today, or you're watching me just here on the gram. Like, I don't ever want you to compare your life to anyone else's, right? I really want you to be your only measure of success. So when you look at where you were last month, are you growing? Are you evolving? Are you leveling up? Are you being better, right? Not the person on your left, not the person on your right, but being very, very, very laser focused, right, on how you are progressing in your life. But the moment you turn to the left and to the right and you start comparing yourself to other people, that's not you showing self-love to yourself. So if you're doing that, I really want you to be aware of it. And even if there's people on Instagram or Facebook that you're comparing yourself to, it is okay to unfriend and unfollow, especially if you're not in a good space right now and you have to learn how to love yourself. All right. So that's the first thing, is do not compare yourself to other people, because when you compare yourself to other people, basically that is not a way that you are loving on yourself. All right. So that is the first thing here. The next thing is, a way that you're not practicing self-love is when you put other people's needs, their thoughts, and their feelings before your own. So basically you're saying this person is more important than me. This person's feelings, their thoughts, their words are more important than me, that I am going to put them before I put myself, right? And so whenever you do that, again, that's not practicing self-love. You should never put anyone else before yourself. And I know it's hard for women, especially because we give so much of ourselves and we're so nurturing and we're just givers. And so because that's in our nature, you naturally tend to put other people before yourself, but that's not loving yourself. That's not honoring who you are. Your feelings matter. Your thoughts matter, right? And you have to acknowledge that before you start putting other people before yourself. I was very, very guilty of that. And I think it hit me real big, being a first-time mom. My kids became my world, and I got lost in that, and I lost myself. And I talk about this all the time. And we were talking about this in the Be Free Inner Circle the other day, is that when you become a mom, you're like, okay, I got to give the kids my world. And so you get so concerned about making sure they're cute, they're dressed nice, they're going to all the play dates and the activities and doing all the things. And then you look like, you forget about yourself, whether you start to just pull your hair. This is what I did. I was pulling my hair back in a ponytail, putting on a t-shirt and jeans, and not really leveling up and looking my best because I was making sure that the kids were okay. That was a sign that I was not loving myself enough. There's no way that, I'm putting so much focus and so much energy into my children that I'm not putting that same type of effort and energy into myself. And so when I realized it, I'm like, wait, you're losing something here. You're losing a part of yourself. And then I had to acknowledge, as a new mom, I'm not going to be the woman that I was pre-having a baby, right? That version of Siobhan is, no longer. So I had to become the woman that I wanted to be, who is now a wife and who was now having, at the time I had 2 children, right? And I had to acknowledge that. And many women lose themselves when they get married. When they have these major life changes, they lose themselves, right? And so what I'm saying is, even if you have children, you still put yourself first. And if putting yourself first means, especially if you have young children, that you have to get up and 30 minutes earlier or 45 minutes earlier just so you can have some time to meditate and to journal, maybe go for a morning walk or read a book. Like, you may have to find that time in your day, but guess what? You are worth it. And that is how you love yourself, because when we fill our cups first, then we have enough to give to everyone else. But if you're constantly putting your needs on the back burner, you will get burned out, you will end up feeling lost, and you won't feel loved. And then this is another thing that I see happen, and I didn't know I was going to say this, but when I see this happen too, and I want to be mindful of my words, but sometimes what happens is that when you don't feel the love within yourself, you go searching for love, right? So you'll just see women start to search for love in other places where they say, oh, I got to have another baby, because if I have another baby, that baby will love me. Or if I get into this relationship, that this partner that I have will love me. And when you go reaching and searching for that, that means that there's a lack of love in yourself. And then you have to go back and figure out, when did I stop loving myself? Did I get the love that I needed from my parents, right? Did I get the love that I needed in my friendships or what have you? And if you can first acknowledge that, then, and it may take some therapy, y'all, because I was in therapy for a very, very long time, right? You know, and you can acknowledge, okay, why am I searching for love in the wrong places? Sometimes, and I was telling a member inside the Be Free Inner Circle, I'm like, maybe this is your season where you just loving on yourself. And if any guy approaches you in this season, because you're carving out time for you, no, even if somebody says, I want to date you, no, let this season be a season of love for you. So then that way, when you get into and I didn't know I was going here, but that way when you get into the next relationship, you're not looking for that partner to be something that you cannot be for yourself. So that is what I want for everyone, a part of my community, to love yourself so much that anybody that comes into your world, they're just an addition to it, and they're not your end all be all. I don't know where that, but that's what I had to say. Number 3, a way that you are not loving yourself is that when you start being too hard on yourself for the mistakes that you made in your past. Again, and I may have said this last week. I talk so much, y'all, in so many different places, from IG Live to the podcast to the Be Free Inner Circle to my friends to my family. So sometimes I forget what I said where. So if you're hearing this for the second time, just flow with me. But this is a thing. When you cannot go back and change your past. You cannot. The mistakes that you made, you're going to have to acknowledge them, forgive yourself, and move forward. Because if you're holding yourself to a past mistake that you made in your childhood, in your teens, and maybe your 20s and 30s, and now that mistake is causing you to feel stuck, you're not honoring and loving yourself for where you're at. You did the best that you could in that moment. I want you to forgive yourself, so then that way you can move forward. And forgiveness is a beautiful way to love on yourself. But you can't change anything that happened. And so whatever it was, honor it, acknowledge it, forgive yourself, and move forward. Because I see a lot of women who, they are stuck in the past. Something happened back in the 80s, in the 90s, 2000s, right? And they're like, man, if I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't be here. But you cannot change it, right? You cannot. So you can't change it. So what are you going to do in this very moment to move forward? Are you going to stay stuck in the past? Or are you going to say, you know what? Let me just, not that you'll forget that it happened, because obviously it did, but forgive yourself for whatever happened. Or if you need to forgive someone else, so then that way you can move forward. All right. The next thing I want to share is that a way that you're not loving yourself is when you're judging yourself and when you are criticizing yourself. Sometimes you can be your worst enemy and your worst critic. And if we knew what you were saying to yourself when you look in the mirror or when you're with yourself every day, you would probably be embarrassed about how you're treating yourself. And the way that you're treating yourself, whether it's the words that you say or things that you do, if you would not do that to someone else, then why are you doing it to yourself, right? I want you to love on yourself so much that you will never treat yourself unkindly, that you would never judge yourself, that you would never criticize who you are, right? And I don't care, because it's, what I hear often is that women, they judge themselves for their weight, for the way that they look, for the way that they look, for the relationship that they're in, for the job that they have. And it's always this negative energy, these negative words that they're saying over and over and over again. It's like, how are you going to be free? How are you going to find fulfillment? How are you going to flourish or anything if you're constantly judging and criticizing and being mean to yourself? So if the words that you're saying behind closed doors when no one else is around, if you wouldn't say that out loud about yourself, or if you wouldn't say those same words to someone else, don't say it to you, right? The next thing is a way that you're not loving yourself is that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust that you can make the right decisions for you. So then, and I think I talked about this last week, you seek out affirmation and validation from other people because you don't trust yourself enough. And so again, you have to go back and figure out, when did you stop trusting yourself? Did you ever trust yourself, right? And if not, why? And why do you believe someone else knows more than you, right? Is that a limiting belief that you have? Is it a limiting belief that you're not smart enough? Is there a limiting belief that you're not good enough? Right? You have to figure out where those thoughts are coming from, so then that way you can figure out how to love yourself more. So if you're feeling like you're not smart enough and you're not good enough, right? Then you're not going to trust yourself to make decisions. So you'll question every single thing that you do. You'll overthink or overanalyze, and you will never move forward because you can't trust that you can make the right decisions. That's not self-love. And I'm not saying you're going to have it all figured out by the end of this IG Live. That's not the point. All I'm trying to do is to bring some things to your awareness, and then that way you can move from here. So again, as I said at the top of the live, as I'm sharing, I want you to have a notebook and pen. I want you to take notes. And one thing that I share with you today, I want you to say, okay, this is what I'm taking from this live. This is what I'm going to put action towards, right? And then I would love for you to DM me and share me, what is the one thing that resonated with you most that you said, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm not practicing self-love, and this is what I'm going to do going forward. If anybody knows me, whether you're in a Be Free Inner Circle, you know me in real life, I hold you accountable, right? And I will never forget the thing that you share with me. And so but at first of all, you have to show up for yourself. And so that's what I want you to do by the end of this live, is to tell me, what you're going to take away from it and practice in real life, like right away. The last thing that I want to share, and these are just some things, there's many things or many ways that you may not be practicing self-love. I'm just giving you a few that I jotted down, but you can probably think of other things that may not be mentioned. And the other thing, and I actually kind of already talked about this, is speaking negatively about yourself. So that was tied into judging and criticizing yourself. So if any of those things resonate with you, or how you're not practicing self-love, now I want to give you some real ways that you can love on yourself every single day. All right. And then I promise you, if you have any question, type it in the comment section, or type it in the comment or the little question box, and I will honor and answer your question. And then I'll also address the comments that are being left. All right. So real ways that you can practice self-love. I've already talked about this. I want you to be kind to yourself. I want you to practice compassion on yourself. Every time you have a negative thought, I want you to replace it with something positive. I only want you speaking kind words to yourself and about yourself. So don't ever say, even if you're someone that you feel like you want to lose weight and you are overweight, right? Don't ever say I'm fat or I'm ugly or whatever negative thing that you're saying. Stop it in this very moment. You may not be the weight that you want to be, whether you've gained a lot of weight or you want to gain weight. Who cares, right? In this very moment, at this present time, only speak kind words about yourself, because your thoughts become your reality. And the more you tell yourself you're ugly, the more you say you're too fat, I don't have money, whatever your negative thought or words that you say about yourself, you will stay in that space. So you have to begin to replace your words with something positive. All right. So that's the first thing. And thank you, Sierra. Next thing is surrounding yourself with positivity. So this is a great place to come every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I go live here on IG on IG, because it's nothing but positive energy. And if you're following me on the gram, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you're following me, because it's nothing but positivity, right? Whether you're following this page or my Be Free Project page, but surround yourself with positivity always. If you're following people on the gram and it's constant drama or negativity, unfollow. Like, you have to protect your mind, your body, and your soul and your energy always, always. So make sure you have nothing but positivity around you. And I'll speak to this in a minute. I don't want to jump ahead. The next thing is to nourish your body with foods that feel good and are good for you, right? So when you think about practicing self-love, what are you putting inside your body, right? Are you feeding your body good food that will nourish you? Or are you always eating fast food? And there's no judgment. I'm just trying to say how you can practice more self-love, feeding your body what it needs. And maybe one day a week you fast, or you juice, or you cleanse your body. And then you start to put food that really feel good for you versus constantly eating out and eating fast food, right? So nourishing your body with foods that feel good and are good for you is a beautiful way to practice self-love. Another way is to silence your inner critic. Silence that inner negative voice that we all have, right? And stop playing small. Because when you have when you silence your inner critic, right? Now you can take up space and own who you are. So inside the Be Free Inner Circle, for the month of April, that was our challenge. It was all about taking up space and owning your greatness and being your full, most authentic self. And when I tell you, the women have been taking up space, and it feels amazing for me to watch, right? Even when we have almost weekly live video calls via Zoom. And there's oftentimes when women will be sharing some very, very, very personal things on their heart, and then they will apologize for talking too much. And every single time I say, I don't ever want to hear you apologize for talking too much or taking up space. I will sit on this call for as long as I need to sit on it. And they've heard me say this over and over again, because so often we have all of this stuff buried inside, and we don't have spaces to just express ourselves about maybe the insecurities that we have or the dreams or whatever. And so we keep that bottled up inside. And I'm in the community, in my membership space, the Be Free Inner Circle, every day. Like, I want you to take up all the space. You can talk as much as you need, because you need to get it out. And if you keep it in your body, then how are you going to grow? How are you going to heal? How are you going to be aware of what needs to shift and change in your life? And so watching them stop apologizing so much and taking up space, and then sharing with the community how they're doing it, it has been beautiful to watch. So again, I need you, and the way to practice self-love is to silence that inner critic, right? Stop playing small. I want you to be your full, most authentic self, because that's who you were born to be. And I told this, you have to go back with all of this and figure out, when did I start playing small? When did I think I was too much? Who told you you were too much, right? Who told you to silence your voice and to be, you have to really go back and see, was it a teacher that told you talk too much? Because that's what happened to me. All my life, I got great grades, right? But every time on my report card, the teacher would say she talks too much, and they would move my desk around. It did not matter who they put me next to. My mouth was running. My grandmother would tell me I talk too much. Everybody. Now I get paid to talk for a living, because this is who I am. But if I would have, and for a season in my life, I did believe that, and I did stop talking, right? And I didn't talk as much. But now I'm like, give me the mic. I am ready. I would talk. Listen, I can stay on IG all day long. I can talk to the Be Free Inner Circle members all the time. I love to talk. I love it. But it's interesting how, based on other people, they can say one little thing to you and you believe that lie, right? That limiting belief, you believe it, and you stay stuck in that place. Y'all can't stop me from talking, but I'm gonna move on. But you can't stop me from talking, because I love it. All right, the next one is a way that you can practice self-love is ending relationships that are not good for you. Ending relationships that are not good for you. I feel like this is an ongoing conversation that comes up almost weekly on IG Live, or it comes up in the community, or I get an email or a DM, or I'm having a conversation about this. There are people in your life, and I'll just keep saying it until it resonates, because I needed to hear it over and over again until I finally got it. And now that I get it, I'm like, okay, everybody cannot go. Everybody cannot go with you. That is okay. But if there is a person or people in your life that drain your energy, that every time you get on the phone with them, they gossiping, they being messy, it's drama, they negative, there's nothing positive about the conversation, or when you're around them and that's all that it is, you have to question and ask yourself, why are you allowing them in your space? Why are you allowing them to have your time? Because I treat my time like it's money, right? And I don't allow not one person to waste any second of my time. And when they do, I will vent to my friends about it. Like, I cannot believe this person just wasted my time. But I have to check myself, right? Because it's like, okay, how did that happen? Why did you let them in? How can you address this better so that it doesn't happen again? I remember when I was first getting started with Be Free Project, and people were watching online, and people local here was like, oh, you want to meet for lunch? You want to meet for coffee? And so randomly, I'm just meeting with these people, and my husband's like, now tell me again, why are you meeting this person? I'm like, oh, they saw me online and they want to have coffee with me. He's like, but do you know them? I'm like, no, but they like my work. And it only took me one time to learn this lesson. I sat down with this young lady, and what she wanted to do was pick my brain. And I left that conversation gaining nothing from it. I gained nothing from the conversation. And basically, she wanted to know all about how I created this. And I wasn't even at this point right here. I was maybe 1 or 2 years in. And I was like, never again will I sit down with someone and allow them to pick my brain, because this brain, this is money, this is time, this is investment that I do every single day with reading books and all of the things that I do. I'm like, ain't nobody getting my time just because, right? So I say all that you can see that's very personal. That's very personal for me. All that to say, do not allow people around you that is going to drain you and that's going to take from you. You want people around you that are going to fill your cup, that's going to pour into you, that's going to really be a light in your life. And if it's nothing but negative energy, like even when you pick up if someone is calling you and you look at your phone, you're like, I don't feel like talking to them right now. Why? Why don't you feel like having a conversation? Is there something energetically that doesn't feel good, and you need to address it? Because you're not loving yourself if you're allowing people around you that is nothing but negative energy. All right. What else? Next up, celebrate yourself. Loving yourself is celebrating yourself where you are. Hey, Gemini Fly, look, I got these. Look, I just saw you pop on. I bought my earrings from Gemini Fly. She just popped on. And people have been complimenting my earrings on here. So when I saw you, I'm like, oh, I got to shout you out. See? Mm-hmm. Love them. Love them. Make sure y'all go follow her. Her earrings are very, very beautiful. Anywho, back to what I was saying. Oh, celebrating yourself. So practicing self-love is, thank you, Sierra. I'm like, where was I? Because when y'all mentioned these earrings, I'm like, hey. But anywho, celebrate yourself. Practicing self-love is celebrating where you are at in your life. I don't care if it's something big or something small. I want you to celebrate. So even with me purchasing these earrings, and this is, I wasn't saying this, but now that we're here, one of the things that I did within my company is I launched this course called Master Your Mind Bootcamp. And I had a goal that I wanted to hit, right? And as I was adding members into this course that I launched or whatever, I was like, how am I'm going to celebrate this moment? How am I going to celebrate this? And I'm really intentional about that. And then I have friends around me that remind me to celebrate all of the beautiful and major wins that I'm having in my life. And so I have been looking at Ginger, her name is Ginger. I have been looking at her website for earrings, and I wanted 2 pairs. And so to acknowledge this moment, I decided to buy both pairs of earrings. And I'm like, this way I'll remember this goal that I set for myself. And this is how I'm celebrating. So forever, when I wear these earrings, I'm like, oh yeah, you did that big thing and you hit your goal. And it will always remind me of that. And so I'm saying that to say, I want you to celebrate yourself, whether that's buying yourself something nice, whether that is just sitting and honoring the moment. I tell the members in the Be Free Inner Circle all the time to create a celebration list. So just have an app I use a reminder app in my phone. And I just, every time I think about something that I want, right, I just put it inside this list. So then that way, when I have something to celebrate, I don't have to think about what am I going to do. I can just go to that list and say, oh, this is how I'm going to celebrate that moment. One of the things, so I'm getting a new tattoo in 2 weeks. And I'm working on a sleeve. I believe I talked about it here. And so that is ongoing celebration because I really want this sleeve, and I have something major coming up in June that I'm doing. And so to celebrate that moment, I'm like, oh, we're going to continue to work on the sleeve so we can have that done by the end of the year. And so I say all that today, love on yourself by celebrating yourself. Don't just keep going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. No, take a moment to honor where you're at, celebrate the moments that you're having, the progress that you're making, and whether you buy yourself something, you journal about it, but definitely take time to acknowledge it, all right? Another way to practice self-love is to affirm who you are and who you want to become. So I talk about positive affirmations all the time. I have a deck of affirmation cards called Girl Be Free, which is 31 different positive statements to really affirm yourself and speak positivity over yourself. If you want them, you can just go to the website at BeFreeProject.com. But anywho, every single day I'm reading affirmations. I have affirmations on my phone. And then even when I feel like I've hit a good point with the affirmations, I will move to another one. So today or last night, I was having a conversation with one of my great friends, and I said, I want a personal stylist. And I've been talking about this for some time. And I'm like, I need a whole new wardrobe. Because this is what happened, y'all. Sidebar. Last year, and I didn't remember that it was this time last year, but last year, this time, I got rid of all my spring clothes. Because I looked in my closet and I didn't like anything that was in there. And the woman that I'm becoming, it was not in my closet. So I went and took everything out that did not bring me joy, right? And so when I went in my closet today, and it's like 57 degrees. Actually, it's a gloomy day now or whatever. But I'm like, where's my spring clothes? And my friend, I was talking to her on the phone. I'm like, where's all my spring clothes? She was like, you remember you got rid of them all. I'm like, was that this time last year that I got rid of all my clothes? And she said, yes. And I'm like, I got to go shopping. I got to go shopping for new clothes. Like, I need a whole new wardrobe. So last night when we were talking, I said, I put the affirmation to go off on my phone. I think it goes off at 9 a.m. And the affirmation says, I am grateful for my personal stylist. I love my new wardrobe. Now, I don't have those things yet, right? But I'm manifesting and speaking it into existence, right? I want a beautiful brand new wardrobe that fits the woman that I am becoming. And so in order to get that, I have to affirm it as if it already happened. So that's what I mean by affirming the woman who you are right now, right? Honoring who I am right now, but then who I want to become. And so the woman that I want to become is, I have the perfect stylist who styles me and put me in the cutest clothes, and my wardrobe looks amazing where I can just pull stuff out, and I love every single thing that goes on my body. But the way that I get that, I have to affirm that now, right? All right, another way that you love yourself is, another way that you practice self-love is that you love yourself, flaws and all, right? So you're not judging the way your eyes are shaped or your nose or your lips or your body weight. You're loving all of yourself where you're at. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't make, let's just use weight, for example, right? That doesn't mean that if you are overweight, you just accept where you are. There's a difference, right? I don't want you to be judgmental based on where you're at, but that still means that you move your body every single day, or you get some type of physical activity to get to a space where you feel most healthier, right? But sometimes what will happen is women begin to settle in their life and they accept, I'm just this way, whether it's weight or anything else. No. As long as there's breath in your body, you can change your life. I don't want anyone just to accept themselves just where they're at and you're not willing to change, because that's laziness. That's what that is. So love yourself, flaws and all, but do your work to become the best version of yourself. And if the best version of yourself is being overweight, okay, stay there. But if the best version of yourself is getting to a healthier weight where you can move and be active and physical and living your best life, then do your work every day to get there, all right? And the perfect way to get started, and this is a part of the 3 to be free, is to go for a walk and move your body every single day. And even if you start with 10 minutes and then gradually move up every single day just to begin to move your body. But every day you need to be doing something physical, so then that way you are loving your body, because we only get one, y'all. We get one body. I went to the doctor this morning. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. But I went to the doctor this morning. It was a great experience. Because I'm gonna go on a tangent. Let me keep going. The next thing, a way to practice self-love is to add more fun and play into your life. I don't know where I talked about this, but we live our lives so seriously. It's like, go to work, go to church, do this, do that. It's very rigid. And some way, I don't know if it's when we became adults and we had to face this real life, but we forgot to play and have fun. And so that childlike energy, that childlike bubbly spirit, all of that, all the things that you used to do just to enjoy life, you stop doing them. And so now your life is so serious, and it's like, where's the play? Where's the fun? Where's the joy? And so find something that you can do creatively that will allow space in your life to play. I enjoy coloring. Sometimes I do coloring. It's more so for like loving and mothering my inner child. But obviously the roller skating that I'm doing, whether I'm skating in my neighborhood or I'm going at the roller skating rink on Sunday nights for adult night, whether that is, it can be anything. I am going shopping today, y'all. That I'm excited. I can't wait to play and put on clothes. Because now you can go into the dressing room and all that. So, find ways that you can creatively. Oh, I know Sierra. So Sierra is an artist, right? And so Sierra is painting. So whatever that thing is that brings you joy and play and fun, do that. All right. Next, I have a long list. I think I'm going to share two more things with you ladies. And then I'll answer any questions that you may have or any comments or anything like that. A way to practice self-love is to heal from any trauma and any wounds that you have. Healing from my mother wounds hasn't been easy, and I will never say that it has been, but it has been a very life-changing experience for me. And going to therapy was definitely self-love, because I loved myself so much that I would not allow my wounds to keep me stuck, okay? And so if there's some trauma in your life or there's some wounds that you need to heal from, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to therapy and working with a professional, because that's you loving yourself. Because it's going to be very challenging to find fulfillment in your life and to be free when you have trauma that you have not healed from, right? So that is a beautiful way, and probably the starting point with loving yourself, that if there's something in your life that has been a traumatic experience, you have to heal from that, because otherwise it will keep you stuck. And I'm speaking from personal experience. The next thing that I want to share, the last thing, because this list will go on and on and on, and we're already at a quarter till, is I want you to forgive yourself. Self-love is forgiveness. Forgive yourself, as I was saying before, for anything that you've done or that you've said to yourself or to other people. Practice forgiveness. And I would say take time to journal about this. If you need to tell someone that you forgive them, or you need forgiveness forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for the other person. And if you need to express this to someone else, make room to do that. But even telling yourself, I forgive you. I forgive you because you did not know what you didn't know at that time. I forgive you because you made choices that you wouldn't have made those choices. But again, you did not know better. Show yourself love by forgiving yourself where you were at the time, and then doing better going forward, right? Yes, Keisha, self-forgiveness is a beautiful way to practice self-love, because when you're holding yourself back because of things that you've done, things that you've said, things that happened to you, you cannot change it, right? And forgiveness for me it can be ongoing for sure, depending on what the situation is. But it has been a way that I have loved myself so much that I'm like, I'm not going to hold this negative energy, and I'm not going to allow this thought or this person to have power over me anymore. I love myself so much that I'm going to forgive what has ever happened. and I'm going to move forward. And how I forgive myself is that, whether that's going to therapy and doing the inner work around that, whether that's journaling, whether that's doing my walks every day, whatever that looks like for me, I'm going to love myself so much because I care about my future. I care about the woman that I'm becoming. And in order to do that, I have to practice forgiveness. And again, it can be something that is ongoing that you do over and over and over again. So those are beautiful, beautiful ways that you can begin to practice self-love. And I would love to hear from you. I did a podcast episode on this week. So there's some other things that I shared on that where there's practical things that you can do as well as it relates to practicing self-love. And you can subscribe anywhere you tune into podcasts. Oh, this is what I want to say too. So every month inside the Be Free Inner Circle, we do a challenge. And so the month of May is our self-love challenge. And so we are going to be talking about this all month long because I really want the women to get to a space of loving themselves from the inside out. Not just getting your manis and your pedis and taking your baths. No. How are you loving yourself from a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical perspective, right? And so the challenge is every single day, they're going to write down what they did to practice self-love. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is, how did you know it was self-love? And how did it feel? So I created a worksheet for the members. So they'll be able to write on this worksheet what they did every day to practice self-love. And then how did they know it was love? And how did it make them feel? So then every Saturday, there'll be a thread inside our community where they will share how they practice self-love for the week. And I am so excited because I cannot wait to see what they come up with and how they're going to love on themselves. And all of our challenges kind of go from one challenge to the next challenge. So they're just basically adding on. And I will say, and I don't know if I've said this on here before, but the Be Free Inner Circle is not a Facebook group and it's not an Instagram group or anything like that. It is a platform that I use called Mighty Network. So it's an exclusive private community specifically for positive, like-minded women who are doing their personal growth work. And I get to coach them and hold them accountable and to be their mentor and their cheerleader. And then they also have community support from women all over the world who are doing this work as well. And then they're building real and genuine friendships. So if you ever want to know more about the Be Free Inner Circle, just go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com. If you want to hop on a call and talk to me about it, we can do that as well. Just shoot me a DM. All right. So now I am ready to answer all of your questions, comments, thoughts, all of that jazz. So send them my way. Let's see. Ashley says, the biggest mistake I made was trying to return to the woman I was before I had my child. The reality is I was a different woman. I had to embrace her. Absolutely. Once we have children, something changes in us where you're not that person and you're not that woman anymore. There'll be aspects of you that are the same, but now that you have a child, it's different. And I think we put so much stress on ourselves trying to get back to her when she doesn't exist that way anymore, right? It's different. So now you have to accept that my life is different. Who am I going to be now that I'm a mom? Who am I going to be now that I'm a wife? And those are not my only, there's more to me than that as well, right? And so that's where I feel like women begin to feel lost, because when they have children or they get married or both, they're like, well, who am I now? And then they stop in that season of their life, and there's this frustrating space because they know that they want more for their life, but they're not sure how to move forward, right? And so I'm so glad that you, Ashley, have taken time to embrace who the woman you are now that you have a child, because it's very different. And so many of us can relate. Lakeisha says, I had to learn to choose me. Yes, choose you first every single day. And you do not have to feel guilty about that at all. In our families, in our culture, we've been taught to feel guilty. Like, no. You put everybody else's needs before your own. No. You get to come first. And I know that's scary, especially if you're a mom or you have responsibilities and caring for other people. But it's okay to choose yourself first, and you don't have to feel guilty. And that's something we talk about inside the Be Free Inner Circle all the time. Putting yourself first without guilt. Let's see. It's Kel said I'm preaching. Oh man. Lakeisha says, well, yeah, you do. Lakeisha, if you're still on, you definitely have to go back and figure out, when did you stop loving yourself? First of all, to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I don't love myself now. There's parts of me that I don't like, that I don't love, and being honest, right? And then figuring out when did that shift happen, right? Did it happen in college? Did it happen a few years ago? Was it due to the pandemic? You know, what happened? So then that way you know what shifted and how to move forward. Cherie says, it took me about 3 years after having my second son to realize that I wasn't the same woman. Yeah, and it takes time, right? It takes time because we feel like, okay, now that I have the baby, I can get back to where I was. You're not the same. You're not. And I think we have to accept that. So then we do have to accept that so that we can move forward. Let's see here. You got to stop overthinking. It's Kales 216 because overthinking definitely will keep you stuck and it's not serving you, right? And it's like, just make a decision. And listen, it could be a mistake that you make, but the only way you're going to figure out that it was a mistake is if you at least try and trust yourself. But if you overthink and overanalyze and you never move forward, you're just existing and you're not moving forward. And that's not a good place to be, you know? Okay. Patrice says, I learned that yesterday. I don't have time for, listen, I ain't even gonna finish reading. I don't have time for messiness and negativity or a person trying to bring me down to their level. Yeah, and that's a beautiful way to love yourself, is not allowing negative energy around you. And it's like, and you know, right? You know when you're around this person, it's something that you feel inside and you know it, but you ignore it and you choose to keep letting them around. And then you wonder why every time you're around them, you feel a certain kind of way. And then you're too afraid to address it. So how is that loving yourself if you're letting someone be negative to you or negative around you or be messy and gossipy? Like, how is that loving yourself when you know that's not something that you want in your life? You know? Let's see. Do I have any questions? Yes, I will save this IG live. I will save it. Thank you for loving my earrings. I got them from Gemini Fly. Ginger, she was on here. Yep. Look, you can see. I love them. Yo, it's a little story about it, and then we're gonna get off. And let me know if y'all have questions about anything that I shared today. So all my life, for some reason, I don't know where this came from, but I always wore silver, right? My granny wore silver. I'm like, I love silver, right? I used to wear gold, but at some point it changed. And so as I'm practicing self-love and listening to myself, and I was on her website, and I noticed that she only sold gold. I only saw gold on her website. I'll say that. I don't know if that's what she only sells. And so as I'm looking, I'm like, oh, I want these earrings. And I'm like, wait, you want gold? We don't wear gold. And I'm like, but I want them, right? And so I saw these and I saw another pair and I bought them. So then when I got the earrings and I put them on, it felt so good. I'm like, oh, you love gold earrings again. So now I'm only buying gold. I'm not buying silver. Not to say I won't ever wear silver, but for this season, because I love the way that I feel, I love the way that they look. I think it complements my skin. I'm like, gold feels sexy. When did I lose, So I'm like, gold earrings it is. Gold jewelry, I should say. But I noticed when I put them on, there was I don't know, I felt something inside. So that's a little story behind that. We have a questions. We don't have no question. You're doing the oh, thank you, Sierra. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Yes, because I used to only wear. Yeah, and I wonder, Kibri, I wonder if I don't know when it happened. And I remember, like, I would see gold stuff, and I'm like, nope, you only wear, like, just this very rigidness. Like, nope, you only wear silver. And it's like, girl, no. Or I would say the majority of my earrings or my jewelry was silver. And I would have, like, a few, like, because I love really big hoops or studs, either or. And I have a few pair, but when I wore those, I always felt good. So I'm like, I don't know when it shifted. So what I did, this is the last thing, I went in this week, and I talked about this on the podcast, is I cleaned out my jewelry box. So I got rid of, this is why I gotta go. Watch, next year this time I'm gonna be like, what happened to all my jewelry? I cracked myself up because I went in my jewelry box and I was like, I don't want any of this stuff anymore. Only things that I kept was like maybe one pair of silver earrings, or if it was something that my grandmother has given me that I wanted to hold on to. But other than that, I got rid of everything. So I'll be starting. I'll be starting fresh with jewelry as well. Like when I make a decision about something and I'm ready to shift and I'm ready to change, I'm like, okay, I have to get rid of it, because otherwise every time I look into my jewelry box, I'll be like, why are you still wearing this? Like you said you wanted to do this, right? So now y'all know I have to go clothes shopping and jewelry shopping. All right, I am rambling at this point. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I will be back at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Friday, so I can't wait to see you. Again, I want you to let me know, based on what I shared with you today, what are you going to put into practice? You can leave that in the comments below. That will be perfect. Leave it in the comments below this video. And then again, if you want to become a member of the Be Free Inner Circle, you totally should. Just head over to BeFreeInnerCircle.com to become a member today. Have an amazing afternoon and a great weekend.